What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Martian and Ozzy podcast. This week, we're going to be talking about the UFC 279 card going down this weekend. Khamzat Chimaev versus Nate Diaz in a non-title main event. And it's a pretty weak card overall, but we'll still be bringing you guys that good analysis and trying to find some good, valuable bets to be made on the card. I'm joined by my co-host, as always, this week. Ozzy, how we doing this week, my man?
Oh yeah, off a nice Labor Day weekend. Hope everyone had a good holiday, and we're gonna get right into the meat of the sports universe. Right, NFL starting this week. College football's been good. I've been playing a lot, some tennis, baseball, and now we got this UFC card. Obviously, like you said, the main event, and kind of how the card got filled in under it could leave some to be desired. Not a lot of meat on the bone for me, looking at it for like an investment point of view. But always good to go through the card. Maybe talk it out, and we see if we could drum up any value along the way, while also picking the card, obviously.
Yeah, it's just, from a pay-per-view, just really weak card here. 2022 Ferguson in the co-main event, Nate Diaz. This is just a pretty terrible pay-per-view card. You guys are suckers if you're spending 75 bucks on this shit. And we
Last
also
week was
just,
great. The Paris card was great. I mean, the
yeah, it
crowd
delivered.
obviously loved it. That was a great event.
It delivered well. Yeah, they didn't. I think they could have did a little better job like stacking the card. Obviously some things fell through with Fiorot and Cedric Dubai, but it still delivered. Definitely was a good card. But we just had a pay per view. It was 2 events ago was a pay per view. Now we get another one. It's too soon, but enough complaining about that. Just a quick recap of last week. I profited 0.93 units on track bets, which does make it 10 tracked events in a row of winning bets on BetMMA. Still lost in the
Wow.
card. I did really bet on live bets last week. How about you, Ozzy?
Pretty good for me. I went basically 2 and 2 on straight, track picks. So 3.13 units up. Unfortunately, Figlak was one of my bigger plays, and he did go down in embarrassing fashion. Did not look, very good there. But yeah, did not see the offensive wrestling coming from ZM. Obviously, he outstruck him too, but I just thought that Figlak would be able to get on his hips easier. He did get a takedown in like round three when he finally did go for a double leg, but bad bet overall there. Nathaniel Wood was biggest winner for me. Went head to head against you on that one. Easy winner by decision as well, plus 270 over in the Gomes fight. We missed the over and the goes the distance on the Hopala fight by like 80 seconds, give or take. I know that was a big loser for you. And then I had Imavov by submission, and then a parlay there of Magomedov and Imavov. So it was pretty good, pretty solid. I've been doing pretty well overall, both personally on the track side. Did lose contender series pick, but yeah, I'm pretty confident I'm gonna finish these last 4 months very, very strong. A lot of sides that we were actually talking about right before we started here. So, good event. On to the next one.
Yeah, next week's card, the 17th. It's a fight night, but it's infinitely better than this pay per view. So we'll come next week with some strong opinions.
I did lose a bet on that one. I had Sadiq Yusuf over Giga, and that as a play I had gone in, and that fight is
Yeah,
now
that's a
canceled.
big
But
hit.
it is what
Big
it
hit to
is.
the card. All right, enough said
Yeah.
about that. Let's get into the first fight this week. Welterweight division, Darian Weeks taking on Johan Lyonese. The odds for this one have Weeks minus 125, Lyonese plus 105. So I think it should be a striking fight here, a welterweight, definitely on the lower level side of things. And I just think Lyonese should probably be the favorite here based on he is a fast starter. He does tend to drop people in round one. And, the guy's got some decent power. I think that Gabe Green is a better striker than Darian Weeks. And, Lyonese was able to win round one and drop him in round two. And just the size and power was difficult for Green to deal with there. Eventually, he did rally back and finish that fight because Lyonese does tend to slow down at that 7.5 minute mark. Maybe we see an improvement in cardio here, but I just feel he's going to come out aggressive. He's probably going to be landing some big shots early. Maybe Weeks is able to rally and pull away. I definitely favor him if it gets in the second half of the fight. I just think you're both looking to live bet Darian Weeks here if you like him. And, not really seeing any props I like here either. So, no strong convictions from me here. What are you thinking here, Ozzy?
I've been this on the prelims. I have been thinking about this fight more than a few others, and I was a little bit of a fan of Darian Weeks, before his UFC career, but in his two fights, obviously the competition has been pretty solid, but he just hasn't been able to showcase his kind of skills too much at all. Kind of did not press, not in the Gary fight especially. So I don't know if he's gonna really be able to bring out like his what his perceived cardio advantage over Johan is. And while Johan is fresh, he's pretty competitive. I think with a decent chunk of people. Obviously, he's a little bit taller here, has a little bit more reach, and does have some power in his hands. If I'm pushed to pick, just because Weeks, he hasn't even really been to the third round much at all himself. So even if I want to knock Johan's cardio in fights that maybe are a little bit more back and forth, he's had multiple of those fights, and Weeks only really had that Barberena fight that it was like a real back and forth one, in his MMA career. So he's not well versed in like a long fight per se. So I mean, at the plus money, I do think there is maybe a little bit of value just because Johan, I think he is also decently like well rounded in terms of if Weeks is not like chasing takedowns too much, I do think Johan could like get the clinch, turn him, move him around, wear on him. But Weeks is a 93 kid, so I'm super conflicted on this one, but I think I am gonna go inside picking Johan at the slight plus number plus 110. I think you could get right to win this fight.
He's a CFFC guy too, which means a lot. So, in the fight, women's strawweight division, another CFFC vet taking on a Combate vet. Melissa Martinez making a UFC debut, taking on Elise Reed. Odds for this one minus 173 for Martinez, plus 148 here for Elise Reed. What are your thoughts on the first women's fight of the card?
Really know shit about Melissa Martinez. I didn't look at into her all that much. I saw one fighter like her last fight against Desiree. I kind of went through that a little bit. I mean, it was like super close. Like, I mean, she's not that impressive to me in any of her fights to look like a UFC cap. But the thing is, like Elise Reed, she's not UFC caliber. She's not well rounded. But if they're just in the kickbox with each other, you know, like I don't think that Melissa really has the power to put out Elise Reed. So like it's maybe gonna go to decision, and Elise Reed did claw back those rounds against Corey McKenna in okay fashion, where she had to just pump out volume and go forward. So I'm gonna just pick Elise Reed, even though this girl Marcia's gonna tell you how she's been off, out of the, I mean, she hasn't fought since before the pandemic, bro. So like, I can't pick her, to win. But I think maybe a little bit of hype behind her. But I'll pick Elise Reed to beat her. But who knows?
Yeah, I would say Reed is definitely the value side here just because she's more active and we know what we're going to get from her a little bit more and it's a striking fight. Martinez is not an offensive grappler. We saw Reed get destroyed in the offensive grappling versus Sam Hughes in her last fight. So it's a good thing for her that this opponent isn't going to be shooting takedowns, but Martinez seems like an okay boxer. It's pretty hard to determine who's going to win the striking here. And with Martinez coming off that, over 2.5 year layoff, she probably is going to be improved. And she looked really bad on tape to me though, so she's going to have to improve a massive amount to warrant price. And I just think betting her as a favorite off this long layoff and with her competition and the fact that she lost her last fight too, if you watch that fight, that's just out of the question at late juice. So it's Reed or pass. The only reason I'm not fully in on Reed is that layoff from Martinez. I think she could randomly get a lot better and have us looking like fools for picking the value side, as we say on Elise Reed. But enough about that one. Bantamweight division next, Anheliger-Alateng taking on Chan Anheliger. The Tang is minus 165 here, Chad plus 145. So we got China versus Canada here. I like Alateng here, man. I think that this is a good matchup for him. Chad just doesn't impress me at all. He was going toe to toe with Jesse Strader in his last fight, was 1-1 heading into round three, and was actually losing round three before kind of pulling off a comeback knockout there. And Alatang is just insanely durable. He's a pretty decent. He's got some power in his hands. A decent wrestler too, although he hasn't been using it very much lately. And he's training at fight ready, and I think he's going to be probably constantly improving. We see Alichi Lang constantly improving down there, and he's got some good other bodies to be training with. So I think this is a good matchup for Alatang. I missed the best price on him when he got to like minus 150, but I'm still thinking about playing him here. I think anything under minus 200 is good for Tang here.
Yeah, so I mean, Alatang, I don't know how many times I bet him, but I definitely liked him against Kevin Kroom or instead of Kevin Kroom. And he put his lights out pretty easily. He was coming forward. I liked how he was a little bit just more aggressive there, looking to do damage, put himself in positions to do damage as Kevin Kroom was trying to throw out his junk ass volume. And he caught him. And he caught him often. He caught him square and he showed some of his power. And if he's not tired when he's not tired, he is kind of dangerous, but the problem with him is when he gets tired, like he just does not fight through fatigue well. Chad I think has good cardio. So, I do think that he is gonna be able to stay in there. This is a pretty tough guy, Chad. I think he's from like the cold part of Canada as well, which I don't know what part in particular because it's all cold, they tell me. But someone told me, like a Canadian told me where Chad is from is the cold part. So I just believe him for what he tells me. So this guy's tough, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna be betting this over, and this goes the distance because Alateng did hurt Kevin Kroom, but Kevin Kroom's got no defense. He's like down there at 135 when he should, be 10 pounds heavier for sure. First time cutting that weight. Just goes in with his chin. And that's mad funny. And yeah, that's a sign that we should move on from this fight. But yeah, goes the distance. And I'll advocate for the Chad side a little bit, but in the end, I do think that the wrestling and just a little bit more tactical approach from Alatang probably wins the fight.
Yeah, and
It could look a lot like his contender fight,
yeah, I
actually.
was gonna say this guy, like, he does consistently come on late. He lost early versus
Yeah,
Gavrov.
he's got good cardio.
Two round three finishes before coming to the UFC, and he did kind of pull away versus Gavrov and Strader too. So
He's
maybe look to
tough,
live bet this guy. Like if Alatang starts strong and wins round one, and this guy's like plus 250, 300, he's probably gonna be a good bet in the live lines.
man. Alatang was so tired, bro. He got a point deducted from himself
Oh, that
against
was such a sick
Lopez.
beat. That was a bad beat right there.
That was terrible, but that was because he was tired. It wasn't like he didn't want to get taken down again. He was like grabbing on the fence. So
Next fight, women's 145, Norma Dumont, Danielle Wolf. The odds for this one, Dumont minus 425, Wolf plus 25. Ozzy, I know you're dying to talk about this one. Let's hear it.
this is the worst women's fight they've put together this year. It's at 145, right?
Yep.
Right? Yeah. So I mean, Norma, they want Norma to be a thing. They want Norma to be, a bad B, but she's fucking it up, losing to Macy Chiasson and fucking missing weight every other time. So they're like, all right, Norma, like we're just gonna give you like this random fight. Danielle Wolf, I faded her in her contender series fight, and I thought I won. And I didn't go back to watch it again just because I don't give a shit about this fight. But I mean, Danielle Wolf is not that great. Like she's kind of just like an IG model status, in my opinion. That's like the tier where she's really at. She trains down in California. The reason she had to pull out of her Felice Spencer fight was she got like armbarred by Jen Bishop, another MMA fighter, at like a pro practice, and she like threw a hissy fit and all this stuff. And apparently people don't like her that much. So I don't know. She seems kind of crazy to me. I'm not taking that dog shot. But I mean, you could be like, oh, big girl. Maybe she could like, put some hands on Norma, but it's not the kind of fight that I excel at. I pass. But I think that Norma, I think she could, if she gets this girl on the ground, I think that she will maybe not finish her, but she will have a sequence where, like, with the ground and pound, like, where you're going to think that she's going to be getting a finish. Like, I think that she could fuck it up, but 225 ITD doesn't looks kind of attractive to me. If I could get
Mm.
like maybe a little more,
She's
I mean,
only
look, yeah.
she
What's
has
up?
only won by finish 2 times and not since
This
2017.
other girl, this girl's a white belt on jujitsu though.
That is true. But yeah, I mean it's
That's
just
that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know if Norma will pull it off. This girl's definitely a white belt,
the
and
only
not
way
about this fight.
the
Like,
only way that she remotely covers this price is with takedowns, obviously. And I feel like the market is just pricing her like she's a reliable takedown threat. Like Norma Dumont doesn't really shoot that many takedowns. Like
The
she's fought.
other the other
Go
thing
ahead.
I'll tell you is the other thing I tell you is the reason I look at ITD is just be realistic. Like, Norma, she needs this money. So these performance bonuses, 50K for her, that's like 3 times her pay. And I know she needs the money. So if she could finish this girl, she's gonna try. Trust me.
I don't think she's gonna. I actually think the over might be value here. It's my
But you think she's just in a jab? But this 15 minutes, this big ass bitch looking across from you. If she could take her down and go for a finish, she's gonna try. So
but
I'm gonna be on the ITD number.
when has Dumont like top game like ever looked like good? Like has she? I
This
don't
girl's a
remember.
white belt,
Maybe
bro.
versus Ashley Evans Smith or some shit, but it's just Norma doesn't do things and doesn't do
This
things enough
other girl,
consistently.
she's fought the other girl. She's fought like, I mean, this girl's a white belt. So just saying, don't be
Yeah.
surprised. She presses.
Well, yeah, I mean, she's minus 425. I'm not endorsing her there. I think, maybe sub at 4 to 1 because, bro, if this bitch Wolf is getting hit with shots on the ground, she's giving up that sub right away. Like
When I'm
she's not gonna take shots, and so I don't know. I don't disagree with the 225 stab. That's probably one of the more interesting ways to play the fight because there's no other angles. So next fight, heavyweight division, Jake Collier, Chris Barnett. Collier minus 425 here, Barnett 325. So I laid the juice on Jake Collier here. I mean, Collier is actually like a good fighter. He's definitely obese and probably shouldn't be fighting at heavyweight, but the guy has a really good foundation of skills, good striker, good grappler, and Chris Barnett is neither. This guy doesn't really go into an MMA fight with any sort of game plan. I don't think he really knows how to maximize his chances to win. He kind of just goes out there and fights and hopes for the best to happen, like a spinning back kick, miracle knockout. But Budai, he just pushed Barnett against the cage the entire time, and then we saw Budai kind of look like shit in his last fight, and it just makes that Barnett fight look even worse. So it's a steep price, minus 310, but I did go ahead and lay the juice there. I really think he should be minus 600 here. So even at 390, he's a parlay piece material. I'll take Collier all day here.
Yeah, I mean, Jay Collier's gonna win. I don't know. I think maybe he should finish Barnett, but maybe he won't. I don't know. God knows. But yeah, I'll take Jake. Take Jake to finish Chris Barnett. I'll
Yeah.
put that in my. That's gonna be a part of my parlay along with Norma ITD. Like,
Like
coming for the Bills. Coming
Collier
for
like
the
just
money.
easily destroyed Sherman on the ground. Like when he chose to like grapple, he's oh, I'll just take you down and rear naked choke you. I think he finished him quicker than Romano did, right? 226.
Collier's Collier's
Yeah.
coming for that bread, bro. ITD. That's a lock.
Oh no, no. Romano finished him 15 seconds earlier. Damn. Next fight, middleweight division. Dennis Tululin taking on Jamie Pickett. Pickett's the favorite. I could bet you guys didn't ever think you would hear that. Jamie Pickett is the favorite in UFC fight, minus 135. Dennis Tululin plus 115. What are your thoughts here, Ozzy?
This is a really bad fight. I'm really pissed off that this is like a fight that I actually have to like talk about. You look into it, like, I mean, Jamie Pickett, basically, he's been around as long as this podcast has been around. I believe. I don't know, but I just feel like I've definitely talked about all of Jamie Pickett's fights. And when I think about that shit, is just wild to me. Isn't that wild to you? Like, don't you ever think about it? Like, you ever think
Yes,
John
I
Anik
do.
is like he like zooms out? He's like, wow, I've called all of this guy's fights. He went from you know debutante to the champion to out of the fucking fight game, and you're like, wow, I really like talked about all of Jamie Pickett's fights. Like, this is insane. But yeah, he's fighting Dennis. Like Dennis, I think he's another guy that I was saying. I need to confirm this. Let me look. I think he trains in that Germany gym where Albus trains at.
No,
And
I think
and
he trained somewhere else. I think I
he
remember
trains
seeing him.
somewhere else. Where does he train? Do you know? In America? Oh, he's in America. Fuck. Oh, he's
Yeah,
at.
I think
Oh,
I think
he's
he
at.
was.
He's at Extreme. I think. Fuck. Damn, I hate it when I get
Yeah,
it
yeah, he
mixed
is
up.
because he spars with Strickland. Yeah.
I get these Germans and the Russians mixed up. But hold on, he said Evolve Gym. Either way, bro. I think Dennis, yeah, Dennis has some skills. I don't like Jamie Pickett. I think Jamie Pickett is kind of not that he's a poser. He doesn't know how to win rounds or win fights like cleanly very much. So, I'm gonna pick Dennis just because I think Dennis, like, he's gonna come in decent shape. He has skills everywhere. He'll exchange. His durability looks solid. So yeah, I'm gonna just go with Dennis. He's a little plus money here. Martian convinced me a little bit. I'm gonna give him credit. I was
Let's
not
go.
initially gonna do it. And yeah, we'll roll with Dennis. Maybe probably by you think he could I'll let you tell me if you think what is more likely, the decision or finish.
I think finish. Um, but yeah. So I get the credit now. But if he loses, I might the script might flip on that. I feel. But yeah, so initially I was thinking, oh, Tulula looks so bad in his last fight. There's no way I'm betting this guy. But then I was reminded he came in on really short notice there. You could see it just he looked fat and slow. And then he was fighting Kizriev, who was like minus 1,000. And the guy's, I think a decent fighter. So it was just a tough matchup. It was short notice. I think the market is like perceiving this guy all based on that fight. But I think that the conditions of that fight were a little unfair. So uh, I think he's gonna be underrated going forward, especially in this spot. And like you were saying, Pickett just doesn't really know how to optimize his chances to win. He doesn't throw a lot of strikes consistently, and I just think Tululin is actually, not a bad pocket boxer. I think on the feet it's just going to be competitive exchanges, and I think Tululin actually has a good chance at outboxing and hurting Pickett here on the feet. Um, I think that if it goes into the second half of the fight, I think I probably would favor Pickett just because he has kind of grinded out a few decision wins lately against, awful competition, Joseph Holmes and Staropoli, but he has UFC decision wins, which, is worth a good amount. So I think Tululin here is a good bet pre-fight. If he has early success and he's not getting him out of there, I am worried about him slowing down, but I just don't think he should be the underdog here against Jamie Pickett. But no, neither guy should really be like a favorite. You shouldn't be betting either guy as a favorite in this fight. It's a dog or pass type of fight. And that's going to be enough about that one. Takes us to the last fight on the prelims in a catchweight fight. 220-pound catchweight. Jalton Almeida taking on Anton Turkalj, or however you say this guy's name. Um, and I'll call him Anton. Almeida minus 800, Anton plus 500. So we just saw Anton win a fight on Contender Series in pretty underwhelming fashion. And he's a grappler. He's a decent grappler. I think he will win UFC fights just because he is just kind of a grinding, heavy grappler. But he's not going to win this fight because Jonathan just does everything better than Anton. Every aspect of the fight. So Jonathan is probably going to destroy this guy. I don't really know how he's going to finish, whether it's going to be a TKO or a sub. At the price, I'd probably say I lean TKO just because Anton is a grappler himself. He's probably not going to get submitted easily, and he might just cover up for like a TKO. So uh, I'll make KO at 3-1's not terrible. Any thoughts here? Any angles to bet the fight, Ozzy?
My bad. Hold on. Yeah, I thought you were gonna go a little longer. Yeah. So, yeah, I didn't think I'd see this Anton guy back so quickly. I mean, if you look at his Contender Series fight, like he kind of gets hit pretty cleanly by that other Brazilian guy that he fought. Chin just wide up in the air. Some of the hooks that they're exchanging are very dangerous for like just to be thrown willy nilly and multiple times around. So his like pocket boxing and coming in and out is not good. And I do think Jalton he can throw some solid punches on the feet. I do think he could pursue as well at like a even keel pace. Like I think he could pressure and he'll be comfortable on the feet. So I do agree. I kind of like that KO price actually, just after seeing how susceptible the guy is on the feet. Because I could see something where like, Jalton, just like how not like how Khabib takes people down, but like how like sometimes you're just like riding the guy, you're just punching him, and then he's kind of like getting up and maybe you can't just like flatten him out in back mount and stuff like that to but even then, right, that's a TK that could be a TKO. But I just don't necessarily think this guy's giving up his neck that easily. Like I think he would be more the type to just cover up if he gets flattened out, as opposed to like how Conor McGregor, right? Like how he gives up the choke or like a similar thing to that. So yeah, I like that KO price. And I think the under is gonna hit here. Just because Almeida, like I said, man, I think all these guys are, they know it's a DS pay per view. I just think the energy here there is gonna be get finishes like this Anton guy short notice, so he knows like he's got to be crazy to not know this is like a tough fight. So I just don't project this fight that often going to a decision. So Anton maybe could he catch him? I guess maybe with something, but I don't really think so. I think that Almeida would have to like show that like Hidalgo versus Fluffy kind of gas tank here. I suppose it could happen, but I like the under and I like Almeida KO.
Yeah, I think the under's hitting as well. Actually, this is the last fight on the prelims now. Featherweight division, Hakeem Dawodu taking on Jingliang-Ferguson. Sick matchup here. Dawodu minus 220, Erosa plus 185. So we got Mean Hakeem versus Juicy J. Who you got here, Ozzy?
Yeah, Julian's the guy that I like to look towards as like a fighter that I handicap pretty well. He's pretty well rounded, has good cardio, pushes the pace, like, not saying he's like a great round winner, but he's always throwing out volume, doing good things. And he has like that underrated grappling game as well. Here I think is a tough fight for him, obviously. I think it's a good fight though as well at the same time, just because like I know he's like very motivated for it. It's like a fight that could get him into the top 15 realistically, right? And it's not like a insurmountable obstacle. So like for a guy like a veteran guy like this, like I think Julian is gonna end up being he's gonna come into I don't know how old is Arosa? I don't know how old he is, but
Probably
he's
like
gonna
33.
33. I think he's gonna like fight into his late 30s and he's gonna kind of like take the mantle of some of these like 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 an action fighter, like like not like Joe Lozon, but I don't know who's the best guys to describe, but just dudes that are you always want to see him fight no matter what. And
Tim
this is
Means.
like a Tim Means, whatever, like yeah, a guy like that. But this is like his one fight where he could actually get into the rankings, and I do think like I mean there's some opportunities here, like a guy like Trezano that Hakeem just fought. I think you see that people see that and they think like he's a cleaner striker than Julian. So Julian doesn't have too much of a chance, but I think that Julian's just more talented in mixing it up. With like the grappling in, he's got better cardio. I think he's got a more of a aptitude to push, and just kind of leave it all out there. But his shin is, kind of a little sketchy here. I actually like the under here when it was like at close to like plus 140, plus 150. I think I might still play it, but I do kind of like Julian a little bit here to potentially do something. So that's why I like the under. Like I just think that Julian's gonna force, action here. Um and I think that he's live. So I think I might have a small bet on him here, just thinking that he can maybe mix it up in the entries a little bit and then maybe potentially go for some grappling a little earlier than Trezano did, but not a lot of conviction for me. I like the under.
Yeah, I love Juicy J, but I do think this is a tough matchup for him just because I think Erosa really thrives in like chaotic fights where you can push a pace. He definitely does mix it up better, like Ozzy was saying. He transitions from the clinch to the grappling a lot better. And He's probably honestly just more aggressive than Dawodu. Dawodu is a bit risk adverse. It seems like he's often fighting to go to the decision, while Erosa is kind of the opposite. He's very he's not risk adverse and he's always looking to finish the fight. So it'll be interesting to see how this one plays out. It's a really good matchmaking by the UFC, but I just think Dawodu is going to be a little bit too clean for him. The jab of Dawodu, I think, is going to be a problem. The leg kicks could limit the mobility of Erosa. But, you can never count out Erosa to pull off an upset. And this guy is a historically really good underdog. So I definitely cannot be laying the juice on Dawodu, especially past 2-1. Maybe under 2-1 would be a conversation, but past 2-1, I don't think there's any value there. And looking at the prop side of things, I'm not really seeing much either. Maybe the Erosa ITD at 4-1. I think it will be a little difficult for him to win a decision here. So maybe and so you also always have to be worried about Erosa's chin. Sometimes the guy's chin, dies out early, but like if he can make it past like the first few hard shots that his opponents land, his chin, does pretty good late in the fight. So maybe look to live bet Erosa here. You can avoid him possibly getting knocked out in round one, and then he tends to build really well as the fight goes on too. So I'm wishing Juicy J the best, but I have to pick against him here, and that's gonna move us along to the main card. First fight in the main card, light heavyweight division: Johnny Walker versus Ion-Cutelaba. We have Ion minus 220, Walker plus 185. So obviously going to be a chaotic fight here. Seems, destined to end in some sort of round one finish. Kutalaba is going to be trying to wrestle here. He's going to be, pushing the pace, trying to get Walker down. Walker is a terrible wrestler, terrible defensive grappler, and Kutalaba is going to take him down. But it's just a matter of what happens after that. Walker in round one, he does have like some explosive get ups. He probably is going to get up from the first few takedowns, and he's going to be, I feel like, probably landing some Travis Brown style elbows. He's going to be landing some shots that make Eon uncomfortable. And I just think that Eon's not going to cover this price without like a few really sweaty moments where he gets wobbled or hurt, or looks like he's, doing the Ryan Span where he's kind of like sniffing the canvas as he eats punches to the back of the head. So I just think something chaotic is going to happen here, and it's not really a fight you can bet on with much confidence. I think the under probably does hit. And I'd lean Cutelaba with like a round two TKO after Walker's get ups kind of slow down a little bit. He starts getting stuck on bottom. Cutelaba is going to start unleashing that nasty ground and pound. He's probably going to get him out of there, but I think the under could be sweaty here because if it gets past round one, I think the pace will slow pretty heavily, and Walker concedes defeat big time, man. He's a guy who like goes for it once he's losing. He's just gonna lay on his back and try not to get finished if that happens. So you might be better off betting the fight doesn't start round two instead of the under. But any thoughts here?
Yeah, man, I hate this fight. This fight's stupid. I mean, the odds are dumb as well, just because like Kudlaba's chin, just I don't know what's wrong with him. I think that it's a little softer now than people give it credit for. I could definitely see like him having like a single leg on Johnny Walker. Johnny Walker just throwing punches at his head, rocks him, and just something dumb happens. So I don't really want to set myself up for a disappointment. I mean, Kudalaba let me down last time, big time, and I'm just not necessarily sure if he's gonna be in there to take so many shots and get Walker down cleanly as often as he needs to. There's a big reach discrepancy here, with Kudalaba on top of that not having that many like kind of like range tools either. So I think he's gonna have to cover distance on multiple occasions, and Johnny Walker is always alive to knock you out. So mean, this is getting up there where a shot on Johnny Walker is not that bad, just with his always his baseline of being able to just, knock someone out. I do think that he changed up his training camp again before this fight, but I just hate this fight. So, I mean, at this line though, I definitely would take Johnny Walker way before I would take Kudalaba.
Yeah, like Walker's floor for like a knockout round one has to be like 20% here. Like he's always going to be live for that. So Kulaba is a 93 guy though, so that's interesting to think about. Next fight, women's bantamweight division: Irina Aldana, Macy Chiasson, Aldana the favorite here at -170, Chiasson plus 145. So initially people bet Aldana to pass 200, and then the fight week steady action coming in on Chiasson. Very popular bet he made here. Last women's fight of the card. Any thoughts on this one?
Yes, this is one I've thought about quite a bit. I saw that initial opener on Aldana. Obviously, I don't really bet openers, all that much. So that one went away, but it's coming back here a little bit. Um, and I was looking at the, Chia-san's last fight against what's her name? That we
Norma
just
Dumont.
talked about her, Norma Dumont. I know that some people liked Macy there. She definitely put on a good performance there. Used the clinch, used the wrestling. Was throwing some okay combination. She just looked a lot different. She actually reminded me, of like some I don't know some different some like male like more like a male style like a maybe like a 170 pounder, like with her striking and some of the stuff she was doing, but it wasn't enough of that stuff. I feel like the volume side wasn't great. That's why she had to go to the grappling, on a bunch of occasions. She did get a few good takedowns there. She did use a few good controls, but that was also at 145. So I like Arena Aldana here, style matchup, wise, with the boxing, with the volume, with the being able to kind of like fight in the clinch and has the experience in the 5 rounds, getting held up against the fence and kickboxed by Holly Holm. And yeah, but the one thing that is a little troubling to me is I'm a big proponent, Martian, of karma. Like I believe in karma for sure. And Arena Aldana was the woman who fought Yana while she was pregnant and laid a fucking beat down on her. So that and missed weight for that. So she beat Yana up with like that advantage of the weight miss. So there has to be some karma there involved. We could be on the wrong end of it here on this occasion, but otherwise I do like um Arena Aldana to pick up this win. But I'm gonna keep observing this line because Macy did do a few things in that last fight that I thought showed improvements in the right areas. That's very important to say in the right area, in the areas that would control a fight or are able to give you more advantages. So yeah,
Fascinating analysis. I actually do not believe in
yes,
karma.
you do not.
Do
You
not
do
believe.
not.
Nope.
Wow.
Nope.
You
Um,
believe in anything? Is there something? Can you give us a tidbit of if you don't believe in that or why not or
no, but I
you
also
have an
don't believe in
experience?
I don't believe in saying bless you after people sneeze. I think that's a weird thing
Uh,
too.
I
But if
see.
we so
Okay.
she had the baby April 25th. Let's
Okay.
do some
Yeah.
subtraction. 9 months off is what?
Just add three, Martian. It's an
So
easier way to
May,
do it.
June, July. Yeah, so she probably conceived the baby in late July, and she got knocked out in early July. So the time frame is close there. But yeah, so I mean, Chasson did look better in her last fight. Great point by you mentioning that it was at 145, and the last time she made 135, guys, was back in March 2021 against Marion Renaud. She fought Pennington on short notice. She actually missed weight at 145 there. So I think this cut is going to be difficult for her, man. I think that she's going to lose some of those attributes she had at 145. And I actually think this is a pretty solid match for Aldana here. I mean, I think the way Aldana loses is getting, cage pushed and maybe taken down a few times here. But, Chasten's top game is no good. And I think that at range, Chasten's going to have a hard time getting her against the fence because Aldana is going to be popping her in the face with the punches. Also, a big cage here, guys. So you got to remember that that's going to be more difficult, even so for Chasten to get her with the back against the cage. And I think honestly, Aldana has potential to cover here. You never want to be laying juice on women's MMA, but I do think Aldana under 2-1 is value here. And honestly, probably up to like -225 might be value on Aldana. So I think that late, or excuse me, the initial money coming in on Aldana in the first few weeks this line was open was sharp, and I'm not really sure who's coming in on the Jackson side here, but. Um, Maybe look to live bet Aldana here as well because Chiasson does typically start in round one, and with that weight cut, she might slow down in these later rounds. So adding to Aldana live seems like a good
Who's the
strategy.
pick? Who's the pick?
Aldana decision
Okay, got it.
for sure. Um, Next fight, another catchweight fight here, 180-pound catchweight fight. I believe Daniel Rodriguez requested that catchweight. Kevin Holland taking on D-Rod. We have Kevin Holland as the favorite, minus 190. Daniel Rodriguez, plus 165. I'm kind of a skeptic. I wouldn't go as far as to call myself a hater of Kevin Holland, but I'm a skeptic
Oh,
of the
whoa.
guy.
Oh, sorry. Finish. Go ahead. Finish.
um, So I like D-Rod though. I like any southpaw boxers, and I kind of wanted to believe that D-Rod was going to win the fight, but talking to some other people this week, just rewatching some fights, I do see how Holland is going to be a tough matchup, and the best reason for backing Holland here, I think, is just going to be the speed advantage. Down at 170, I think he is going to be a lot faster. Rodriguez is kind of old too. I think he's like 35. Yeah, 35. Also was coming off some injuries, hasn't fought in like a year. Kevin Holland is looking solid at that 170-pound weight class, even though this is at 180. But uh, we haven't seen Kevin Holland tested in the second half of the fight at this new weight class. I mean, I guess it's not even a new weight class with 180, but um, Holland is going to be the one with all the grappling upside here. Daniel Rodriguez does not wrestle offensively. I don't think he's going to have much grappling upside at all. That's where Kevin Holland struggles with the majority of his opponents. And I think the speed, the size for Kevin Holland, he's going to be a few inches taller, several inches longer. And he has just way better mobility. The mobility with his legs, he moves a lot better. And I think Daniel Rodriguez is a bit, heavy on his lead legs. He doesn't really move too well, and he's just kind of a stationary southpaw boxer. And people have been pointing out when Jesse Ronson used a lot of move, or not Jesse Ronson, fucking Nicholas Dalby used a lot of movement to stay on the outside and to kind of just limit pocket exchanges. He was actually able to make that a really difficult fight for D Rod and actually steal that split decision. So I just feel that Daniel Rodriguez doesn't have a whole lot of ways to get this fight in the range that he wants, unless Kevin Holland just trades in the pocket, trades in close quarters. D-Rod has much of a chance of winning here, but definitely not endorsing laying the juice on Holland. I think it is dog or pass, but I will have to reluctantly pick Kevin Holland to win the fight.
I don't know, man. I think a lot of people were talking about this fight, and I was kind of staying a little further away from it. I was seeing that catch weight stuff, and then I love Daniel Rodriguez. I bet on him all the time, or I've bet on him multiple times. He's a good fighter. He's got that nice boxing in the pocket. And I'm just like the variables that I'm looking on. I'm still undetermined on this fight. I really do want to bet Daniel Rodriguez. I do think he's been being discounted here a little bit. And I would actually, if it was 170, I think I would go in on for sure, like without a doubt, because I think that just a guy as big as Kevin Holland, like if he's getting down to 170, like he's giving up something. Like if it's not the durability, then it has to be maybe like some of the conditioning or the pace, maybe like being able to just go boom, clinch, go from the clinch to grappling to striking to you lose something or the power. There's something you lose, right? And I think we probably have the same line. But with it being at 180, I'm just not sure if Daniel Rodriguez, between being able to defend the offense that Kevin Holland puts out there, being rangy and well rounded and being able to kick and all these kind of things, and also maybe not being able to make his strikes count as much, and his power count as much after a 1 year layoff. I think that Kevin Holland, I do see why Kevin Holland's a favorite here, but I do think Daniel Rodriguez has a chance in this fight. Like the guy is himself well rounded, he's really tough. He's got a good chin, I would say. He did get rocked by Dwight Grant, but Dwight Grant is a big hitter. And I think that this fight probably goes the distance, maybe like similar to that Chaos Williams Randy Brown fight, a fight where both guys are just really solid, have pretty good, let's just say, offense, but also defense and are high level. So I think I'm leaning towards it to go the distance, take that plus money, plus 140 you could get, plus 146 on FanDuel. I think that's a decent wager there, a good line to be on.
I agree. I just think a lot of the finishing equity is probably going to be on Holland here. But the extra 10 pounds for D-Rod should be good for his durability. Really, Holland sub seems like the most likely. I mean, the price on Holland KO at 2 to 1 is shit in my opinion. I mean, that's a crazy price. Um, so yeah, I agree with the GTD angle there. Next fight, welterweight division, Tony Ferguson making his 170-pound debut, taking on the Leech Li Jingliang. Jingliang minus 315, Tony El Ferguson plus 265. Any angles to bet the fight here, Ozzy? Tough fight to bet, I think.
Another fight that I don't like all that much. I mean, Tony just got KO'd bad, not too long ago. Is coming off like before he wasn't really fighting this often. And now fighting a guy who, Jing Liang, he's just not that good overall. But this guy just doesn't fucking go away. He eats punches, he cheats, he does whatever he needs to do to win. Tony, the issue is like more recently, his movement has just taken a hit. Um, and and his pace. So with that, he's just getting hit way cleaner now. I think is the biggest issue. I did go back and watch like the Rafael dos Anjos fight, and in that fight, man, he just makes the pocket exchanges, and when he is going forward, he makes them count like way more, and he makes you pay when you look to change the range. And I mean, you did see a flashback to what he did against Michael Chandler. That's how he caught him. He hit him with an uppercut like while either Michael Chandler was trying to like step away a little bit, like that's what I think some people thought. It was like a slip because I think he was like moving away or like ducking away or some shit. But the problem here is that Leach himself, he's like pretty tough. He comes forward, he likes being on the front foot. You've never really seen Tony on the back foot, so you don't know, what you're gonna get there. I think is another variable. And Jing Liang, he just does not go away. So a Tony performance has to be a very clean one for him to win this, I think, because Tony's always been the kind of guy to also flop around on the fucking ground and do stupid shit like that. And guess what? That's gonna go even worse for you at 170. Right, you going for a stupid ass I don't want to disrespect Tony's fight style, bro, but going for an Imanari role and stuff like that, like it's gonna start getting. I hope maybe a change, like maybe he's adapting his fight style, but you know what I mean. Like the guy's like liable to like pull a submission and stuff like that, and it just probably not as good of a strategy here in the welterweight division. So I think I think Jing Liang is a pick. I mean, a lot of guys that I know, they just never let Tony die. And I said this before his last fight. Every time Tony fights would come up, bro, people would just talk about how like Tony's back, or like what if like he's like dialing back that clock. And they did it before the Chandler fight again. People justifying like, oh, he's not fighting, Charles Oliveira or Benil Dariush. He's fighting Michael Chandler, and they try to discredit him, right? Michael Chandler, and then he gets punted in the fucking face, and we go on another week, or another event, and another Tony fight, and now they're saying, oh, but he's fighting Jing Liang, like he's. I agree, but at the end of the day, I just don't think this guy's gonna win. He's not gonna fight optimally. He's crazy. He's Tony Ferguson though. So if you want to bet Tony Ferguson for fun, you see that big plus 260, 270 price tag. I don't blame you, but it's not for me.
Wow, what an accurate and concise breakdown. I agree with almost everything there. Um, so I mean, it's just that value side that gets these people with Tony Ferguson. He might have been the value side against Chandler. He did, have a competitive round one, kind of dropped him, then eventually, got his head, punted off, like you said. He might be the value side in this fight, but I just think he's gonna lose inevitably. Um, I think he could possibly have a decent round one. He's going to be pumping out those different looks, throwing feints, coming forward, throwing different strikes. And Jing Liang kind of does the same thing. He throws a lot of like upper body feints, and he throws inside outside leg kicks. He doesn't really come out of the gate throwing hard. He kind of builds into fights as they go. And that exact same thing happened in his last fight against Salikov. Just not really doing a whole lot early. Then eventually landed a takedown in round two, sensed some momentum, started going for the kill, landed a massive right hand, and got the finish. I guess he did start pretty fast versus Ponzinibbio though. So I, I think this is a pretty bad matchup for Ferguson. I think, the UFC wants Ferguson to lose, guys. You realize that, right? Like they want to the same thing with Ferguson and Nate Diaz. The UFC wants to milk as much exposure out of these guys to promote other people as they can. So they've deemed Li Jingliang worthy of getting this exposure and taking the head off of Ferguson. And the UFC wants Ferguson to lose here. And I think they're going to get it.
Further evidence that China has infiltrated. Further evidence right here. I said it before the last fight. Pay-per-view, main card ABC spot, all this, all this jazz and all this nonsense, and he fights a guy in the King of Kung Fu who he's like, is big in China as well. Chinese infiltration.
Yeah, it's undeniable at this point. My angle for betting the fight: Li Jingliang round two plus 600, round three plus 1,000. It's the same thing I bet in this last fight, and they did win. They did win. Um, so I think Ferguson at the at 170, his chin won't be as bad. He's probably going to be able to absorb some shots. He's going to come out early and maybe have a decent start in round one here, but inevitably in round two and three, I think Jingliang is going to start upping that aggression. The punching power is going to start accumulating, and Ferguson's probably going to go to sleep here in the second or third round. Hopefully, it's not too early. But yeah, I mean, this is a fight where you got to ignore that value side on Ferguson because it's just inevitably not going to win. I don't think so. Um, Passing the money line there, just play those late props. Uh, and quick question, Ozzy, you think Tony is going to sleep here? Yes or no?
I think he will end up asleep.
Yeah, I believe so too. End of an era. That's going to take us to the main event. Welterweight division: Nate Diaz versus Khamzat Chimaev. Don't know what the fuck this fight is, but uh, here we are. They don't even have fight on best fight odds too, so I got to go to bet online. I think Hamzat's minus 1,200. Nate is plus 700. So, like I was just saying, the UFC they don't like Nate Diaz. He's a fan favorite, but Dana White, the UFC, they don't actually like him. They never really wanted him to succeed. Uh, Dana White was famously saying that Nick moves the needle, his brother Nate doesn't. And then when it's time for a short notice fight against Conor McGregor, they give Nate the call. He shakes up the world, and but the UFC never wanted that to happen. And this guy's kind of been difficult to deal with his contracts over the years. And the UFC is now punishing him for being difficult by giving him the most difficult matchup humanly possible in Khamzat Chimaev. But it's a smart business strategy because Hamzat is, well known to people who follow the sport, but people who casually follow the sport, don't really know Hamzat that well. He had that great fight against Hilbert Burns, but I just don't think Burns has that same notoriety, and that fight wasn't commonly perceived as much as like a Paddy the Baddy fight or something like that. So while that casual audience, they know Sean O'Malley, they know Masvidal, they know Paddy, they don't know Hamzat yet, and the way to get that casual audience exposed to Hamzat is for him to just beat the shit out of Nate Diaz. So that's why they're booking the fight. I think it honestly does make sense from a business perspective, even though it kind of confused me at first. And they're going to get what they wanted. Hamzat's going to beat the pulp out of this guy. Nate, said in an interview today, he's not. He said, "I'm not even preparing for this fight. I stopped preparing really." By the way, the line is minus 1,800 plus 900. Um, I'm just looking for any prop to bet the fight, but I'm not really seeing anything that really impresses me. Um, I don't know, man. I mean, I think that I was initially looking at starts round two. It's minus 200. So the fight does Hamzat finish in round one out of three times? He probably can finish one out of three times. So I'm not going to be investing in that. Man, I guess maybe Hamzat sub at like 265 might be a decent way to play the fight. Like if Nate, I don't know, man. I don't think he's gonna sub Nate. I see no bet I see value on. So I don't know. I don't know how. you guys are approaching this fight, but I see no bets I see value on. What about you, Ozzy?
Crazy fight putting together. I love Nate's interviews um, during the week. They've been great. They've taught me so much. I wish I could have been in the UFC, but just like fast forward, like all the hard part, like the regional stuff and like the Nate Diaz thing where he's talking about the contract negotiations, and then he says, "Yeah, at one point we got to the point where, I was like, all right, well, then if you guys like really want me to resign all this stuff, then me and my 10 homies, we all coming in. They all got to get contracts." Like, I wish I had a Nate Diaz, bro, in my fucking life. Yeah, but he says that, and then he's like, "Oh, well, one guy, this guy, well, this guy, we could put him on the Ultimate Contender series." And yeah, just the way that he says it is just so fucking funny. And I totally believe him and that happened and stuff. And I think that now the UFC's slant now is okay. Look, we'll give you some resources for you to start a fight promotion, and then we'll put it on Fight Pass, and like we could get you more money that way. Now we can give you like we could sell sponsorship stuff like that, where it's like third party kind of shit. So that's why like he's opening his like new fight promotion. It just if you listen to what Nadia says, is there's little morsels in there that I personally find interesting. But anyway, yeah, I mean, I hope that somehow this fight is competitive some way, somehow. But the issue for Diaz has been in his later age, or just when he fights Conor McGregor, which is very often, he kind of is getting hit clean. And you saw like in the Michael Johnson fight, he was able to kind of like slip a lot of punches, use his distance management. But against like a guy like Conor McGregor, who's getting hit, very very cleanly, and his hands are just like kind of wide. At times, and Khamzat, he just knows how to create car crashes. He's actually very similar from his fights that I've seen now. In terms of the hands, like Justin Gaethje, like a similar style or similar approach. Just kind of like looking to wing these shots in. You're turning your hips. You've got that arm. Your arms kind of just ripping through the pocket, whipping through the pocket. Looking for a guy's chin. So I think he's gonna connect on Diaz. It's a matter of how rocked Diaz is when he goes to the ground, right? Or if if he's conscious still, and then him following up there. But yeah, I just think that Nate is like a little bit too hittable. Hopefully he is able to get some respect here. But the thing is, like Hamza just so forward focused. Probably will mix in some takedowns. Maybe look to tire Nate out a little bit. It's an interesting fight for me though. I mean, I think that with a guy like Chimaev, the issue with him is his weight cut is just ginormous. So there's always that factor of this is right. This is his first 5 round fight. So if the fight is a little bit more competitive than people were planning, and this guy starts slowing down, Nate's good with the pace, man. Pace is like that is the reason that the word comes up a lot, because if you can hit these buttons really, really quickly, at a certain point, and the other guy can't, do the kata, you get chopped up, right? Them katas are real all fun and games, but if it was with a real sword, your ass would be cut up,
Who
right? Right,
fucks a
Martian? You
kata?
would
A sword?
kata? You don't know what a kata is, bro?
Like Kill Bill type shit?
Like when you're fucking doing the dance, that shit that they're fucking, when they're practicing their fucking sword swings, or just like a karate, like when the karate people do their kya kya
Oh,
kya kya
okay.
kya, these fucking
Yeah.
kicks, just air, but it's like a dance. That's what a kata is. But some people do the kata with the swords, and they're fucking cutting through eucalyptus, or just the air.
The more you know. Wow, I learned something new
Yeah,
today.
fuck, bro. You're not even. This is catch up, bro. Come on.
What's the
I'm trying to.
method? What's the method of victory here? How does Khamzat win?
Oh, I honestly dreamed that Hamza Darst Nate Diaz. Caught him with a Darst. So I don't. What
Do you
is
think
Hamzat's
sub is
submission?
decent? Yeah, I
What is
said
that?
it's two
5-1.
65 on
Oh, come
260.
on.
Yeah, it's
265.
bad.
No, no, I can't do that.
Well, that's what it was on BetOnline. Let's see, it's 260 on FanDuel.
No, I need like a 400. But
I
yeah, I
don't
mean,
know. It seems
I saw
I cap it like
I don't think that he's gonna be able to rear naked choke Nate. So I think I could see a Darce though, like a Darce, like he's on top, he's punching him. Nate's like covering up a little bit, turns to his side, or something like that. The
Yeah,
Darce is
against
very
the cage,
important.
like Nate's, like,
He's
kneeling against the cage, and he slips it in
yeah.
kinda like,
And as like a fuck you too to jujitsu, if jujitsu, if Samba was easy, it'd be called jujitsu, ha ha ha, those guys. And he went for it against Burns, but Burns, like, I like Burns, like, went for like a single leg or a double leg, and then they're like on their knees, and Hamza shoots it, but Burns, like, kind of like sits to his hip and like goes to his back, so he like takes it away from him. But
I
he
remember
he
that
went he
sequence,
went
yeah.
for it, yeah. So
So, like,
let me
do you
know on
think
BetMGM what that is exactly. If I could get like a 9-1, maybe we could do that. And the
oh,
one,
it'll be higher than that for Darce.
and the one.
I don't think they've been doing them lately, though.
He's not arm bar like, but like if you think about
Yeah,
it, take out like the submissions he would get him with. Like he's not arm barring
not
him.
no guillotine, probably.
He's not guillotining him, bro. What fucking choke is
So,
like? He's
real
gonna
quick
get him.
though, is like, what do you think? Like, do you think Hamzat's like game plan here will be to strike, or do you think he's going to grapple?
I
I
think
mean,
he's coming. I
obviously, I
think he's
think he's
coming to hit him a
yeah,
lot.
I think he's going to try to strike. Yeah, I mean, that kind of makes me think this fight does have a chance to go to round two, just because I don't think he's going to completely melt Nate and take him down and choke him out early. I think he's going to try to feel him out on the feet. Nate's going to be probably showboating and whatnot. I think it could get to round two here at a more than a 66% rate. Um, yeah, I don't think they don't have that bet, Ozzy, the
Cowards,
exact submissions. But enough
cowards.
about that. That wraps it up.
Oh,
Card is over. Pretty quick analysis of this one. Time for our best bet parlay of the week. I have mine. You have anything you're liking?
Man, I was saying from last week, I want to go with more money lines now, and I foolishly let you being confident in Charles Jourdain after we talked about our ROIs on that fight on that weight class, and got me off the Charles Jourdain best bet side. But
Pathetic
that
performance by you.
yes, pathetic ill will, pathetic will displayed by me. Um, yeah, so I mean the the side, if it's a money line side, man, I don't like a lot of money lines this week. I think maybe I might actually only like Johan. Johan might be my favorite money line, bet. I don't want to give out Donna because I'm done with the fucking women's MMA juice. But I think that's gonna be it. I think I'm gonna go with Johan
Johan.
Lioness. But
All
you,
right. I was debating between Tang and this other guy. I'm gonna go the other guy because I actually haven't even bet Alateng yet. I'm going our boy Tululin. Tululin
Tallulah.
and Lionese. I mean, that's pretty much like that's some low level shit right there. But both
You said
underdogs.
that you think Tululin finishes Jamie Pickett.
I do
Okay.
think he cocks him out in round one.
Wow, cocks
Um,
him out. Wow.
yeah, I think so.
Nice.
I mean, this guy, like, he went for it against Kizriev. So that comes out to 341. You parlay Tululin
That's a
plus
smelly
115.
parlay. Wow.
And then as in bed, right? Yeah.
Yeah, bad.
If this one wins, guys, this will be some
It's
funny
bad.
shit. But it's a scarce
What
week,
is
like you
a
were saying. And not even a
it's
good
tough
week for
week.
goes the distance bets. I'm a goes the distance over starts round prop kind of guy now. And I don't really see any fights that I'm targeting
Yeah,
this week.
I'm taking the Chad Alatong fight going the distance. I actually leaned the Tululin fight to go the distance as well. Personally, and then I like the Holland fight. I think that would be my second best bet if the Holland fight goes the distance.
Yeah,
That'll
that's
be my
got I mean
because
146
I
has
feel
got
like
some
people
value.
were like hesitant to take it. Like you should take like that fight should probably actually for from two talented guys like that. There could be a guy gets dropped and something like that, but they're so good. They're veteran guys. Like they're able to work through being rocked or whatever it is. So, and I don't think either guy's been knocked out. Like, did has other guy been?
No,
I
I
mean,
don't
like
think
I
so.
said, Daniel got rocked by Dwight Grant, but other than that, I mean, both guys pretty solid chins. A lot of
Yeah, I
fights
think
this week.
I'll probably do starts around 3 there and the GTD. But yeah, we gave you guys some good angles this week. Nothing we're feeling like overtly confident about, but like I said earlier, that card next week, the 17th card is a banger. And quick little milestone here. I believe according to my calculations, This is the 200th UFC event in a row I've made a
Wow,
podcast before, which,
incredible.
sets me ahead of the pack. Might have to crunch some numbers and make sure, but I'm pretty sure UFC 218 back in December of 2017 was the first podcast, and every single UFC event for the past, almost 5 years, I had a podcast before. My man Ozzy joined me, three-quarters of the way through. We're about to hit our 50th episode, and, yeah, so thank you to everyone for listening along the way. Any closing thoughts here, Ozzy?
Yes, I changed my mind. I'm going goes the distance. Kevin Holland, Daniel Rodriguez,
Wow,
higher up on. I don't want. Yeah, I can't. I'm still gonna bet Johan,
what
but
an audible.
Audible goes the distance. More plus money. Give it to me. And yeah, you should definitely
Ma
take goes the distance before over because it's like minus money and then plus money. So
Yeah, so let's see, we had to parlay them on FanDuel, 146 and plus 108. That brings us to plus 412
bang,
now. So
bang.
I like the audible. I like the
Let's
audible
go.
there. Let's see if it pays
Let's
off.
go.
And that'll do it. Thank you to everyone for listening, and hope you all enjoyed the fights this weekend. Win some bets, and we'll see you all before the next UFC event next week. Peace out, everybody.